Hey guys, we are going live. It's that Monday. We've been talking about doing this live. The team is here. The team is here, like I said, we would be. So this live is gonna be probably completely different from any live we've done to date. This live is really gonna we're about to go uncut. Right? So I wanted to allow everybody to meet the whole team. Because we normally don't get to do lives as a team. And then I also just want to make it very clear that we are very, very big on building intergenerational progress, economic empowerment, intergenerational wealth, intergenerational financial literacy, and just sustainability. Time is the one thing you can't get back. But if you implement the right strategies and information as early as possible with the generations you're connected to, it prevents that same time having to be utilized more than once to achieve the necessary goal, right? Do y'all have anything y'all want to say before? Do you have anything you want to say?
Oh, I'm glad to see y'all again.
That's all you got to say?
First time we've seen you on a live, Drunk in the Junk.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so tonight's live is going to be a deep dive into topics that I feel like just needs to be said as blatantly as possible. So today, I want to put an emphasis on a couple of things. I am the initial creator of I'll Stop Shop. It was a lot of things that I saw in the community and environments and knowledge and information that I learned that drove me to become very committed to wanting to change and shift the narrative within the Black community specifically. I realized that there are other communities that could use resources, but I realized that the Black community specifically are lacking a number of fundamental resources that need to be provided. And so my passion was to compensate for the fact that you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes you're like cars passing in the night and missing the people who may be able to help keep you or educate you or make you aware of something. One of the things that happened for me personally that really drove this home and that makes me so adamant about it now is the fact that prior to reaching my 20s, I heard a Black person mention stocks once my entire youth. And it was in passing, and it was just talking about the fact that, they don't buy their kids Nikes, they buy their kids Nike stock. And it was from a place, where somebody said something, but it doesn't resonate if you don't have more context, if you don't have more perspective or insight, or if they're not willing to elaborate enough for you to know what you need to do to even consider proceeding with implementing or incorporating that information, right? I did not come from a family of wealth. I did not come from a family that was knowledgeable in financial literacy or capable of teaching or exposing their children to it. We came from a time where everybody had a hustle. Everybody was just trying to get by. You was the candy lady, you was the weed man, you was the t-shirt person, you sold loosies, you was picking people up from the grocery stores on over the weekend, once they got their food stamps to go shopping for the month, right? It was raunchy. Like, people was just trying to get underemployed job you can get. being able to make double digits when everybody double digits hourly pay when everybody else is out here making $7, $8, $6, you feel like you winning. The fact that you can afford J's from one check makes you feel like you accomplished. You know what I'm saying? Like, we came from environments where weed was normalized because everybody was trying to self-medicate a unspoken about problem, an unresolved problem. Poverty, it wasn't a mindset, it was just a state of existence for the collective. And now we're in this place where it's just like poverty should not be normal, yet it is. You know, what that looks like in those communities is it ain't glitz and glam. World Star don't capture it as adequately as you think it is. There's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of starvation. There's a lot of self-hate. There is a lot of survival of the fittest, right? That has you villainize and see even your own community, your own family as a possible opponent, right? It's targets on your back if you're struggling a little bit less than somebody else. Not because you're doing well, not because you're thriving, because you can afford something that somebody poorer than you can't afford. And a lot of us are struggling because that corner store owned by the Arab and the Asian or that person from outside of our community, they don't discuss how they were able to get to a place where they could afford to be a resource for your community. Instead, they criminalize you. They treat you like you're unworthy of being in their presence, despite the fact that they're building their wealth off the back of you utilizing their products or services. And for me, something happened, and I committed that homelessness would end with my generation. You know, I committed that I would be the last person I knew to endure begging for help. I would be the last person I am in my family legacy to have to survive off of food bank boxes. Have to consider selling some food stamps to pay some portion of utility bills. I committed I would be the last person to associate with people just to try to have free childcare. Right? Put my kids in harm's way because I need that time available to afford to pay a bill. I struggled through a lot of stuff. And the hardest reality for me was coming to terms with the fact that shit does not get better until you are willing to do something completely outside of everything you may have done to this point in life. I got exposed to the most information by moving to North Carolina, where I had no family support, where I knew exactly one person at the time, where my marriage fell apart, where I went through custody battles, where I ended up homeless, sleeping in my car, right? And even in the midst of that, the suffering got worse before I became aware. I went through months and months of uncertainty about whether I was a worthy mother, whether I would be able to actually parent my child because of my economic state. I had a kid. I was doing everything for her, and I still do, right? I was doing everything for her for those first 4 years before she started school, right? Everything. No daycare, no nothing. And because I was in the economic state I was in, my ex-husband was able to get away with paying $50 a month in child support. That is North Carolina's minimum requirement because he could afford a lawyer and I couldn't. Like, whole life almost fell apart. When I think about that eviction I went through eviction off of $3,000 in unpaid bills. $3,000. And for a lot of people, that's still a lot of money. But for me, I easily run through more than that in a month. Just implementing strategies and doing things connected to business. But my whole life had fallen apart behind $3,000 worth of bills. I couldn't afford to get approved for nothing for years because I didn't comprehend credit. I was writing letters to credit bureaus, just pleading with people to have humanity. Because I figured maybe other people would care. When in all naturality, that is completely far left field from what I should have been doing. That is completely out of the realm of things that should have even been on my radar to try to start resolving those issues with my credit. Start resolving those issues with my inability to tap into any type of money or capital. You know? You don't know what you don't know. And a lot of people out here suffering, fucking bootstrapping and just depriving themselves of everything they could possibly have or need in life because they don't know what they don't know. A lot of the other people out here that do know the information, you need to be at a certain income bracket or be able to afford a certain price point to even get access. Bruh, I don't know what I don't know. Like, Siri is not going to be able to answer the generic question of, like, what am I missing? So you about to just tough it out. And so our Stop Shop was really founded out of the fact that it's just like, this suffrage shit is not normal, bruh. It is not what we are supposed to be enduring. It is not what we should be upholding as a standard or as our validity as making it. Like, I don't want to go through the worst to prove that I've made it or I'm accomplished or I'm sustainable. Like, no. Prevention is way more valuable than a cure. Like, my kid, who y'all seen down here, she will not know homelessness. She will not know not having capital at her disposal. She will not know being forced to just beg and panhandle and do whatever odd job she could do just to get some money to eat. She will not know sleeping wherever she can find a roof. She won't know sacrificing or staying in certain types of relationships just to have some stability for a while. She won't be put at the mercy of nobody's court system, nobody's child support system, nobody's custody court system. Won't be begging people to just give her a chance to redeem herself. She's been equipped with an arsenal, bruh. And right now, it is very, very important to get to a place where you say, I need to learn. I gotta level up. I gotta change shit because this is not okay. This version of life, this generation, these habits, these tendencies, we to normalize this bootstrapping shit. Like, this has gotta change. I can confidently say that as I prepare this week to buy my first piece of real estate property of 2021, that like the things that I know and that our business is teaching, it got us out of poverty. It got us out of poverty. And all of us had our own shit. I was homeless. People didn't see the value in the skill sets I possessed. My spouse, he had no fucking knowledge in credit. He had no knowledge in financial literacy. He had no knowledge in investing. Could not save sustainably to save his life. Other partner did 10 years in prison. Came out to identity theft credit. Right? No savings, no resources. Felons don't get the same types of jobs. And then we're African. So outside of the fact that he got a criminal record, they red flagging every fucking body with a non-American name. They assume you might be an immigrant and you can't speak that language, and they don't want to have to overcompensate for the fact that you might not be competent to do the job because of your cultural differences. Like the skill sets. That was a shift, man. People always talk about these fucking degrees, unless you are headed into very, very specific industries, specific titles that come with those types of benefits, you are sabotaging yourself to go get a degree. A lot of people are in college just to prevent them from being homeless, fresh out of the high school. Not because they actually even have any desire to learn. Not because they're actually pursuing any type of profession. They in there because mommy ain't teach you shit. Daddy ain't teach you nothing. You have nowhere to go. You were told at 18 you had to get out. And Fed loan will give you money. Give you student debt to be in this institution. With no guidance, no perspective, no education on the fundamentals. Wasn't raised around money. Wasn't raised around options. You heard about Wall Street, but that shit was a foreign concept. It did not resonate that you rock with Apple iPhones, but you could actually own Apple. Those ain't the conversations being had in our communities. Those ain't the types of things that they got you aspiring for. Those aren't the types of ideas or concepts they're encouraging you to look into or learn about on your own. It's the age of technology, but if you have no fucking clue what you need to be tapping into learning, you are just putting yourself in a predicament where you're oblivious. And you out here just going through the motions. You're doing what you've always done because that's what everybody around you encourages you to just maintain. They tell you to do it harder. Your time will come. Those are all lies. For some people, those exceptions to the rules, sometimes it happens. But it's not the norm. The reality is people start businesses. Reality is people establish credit. Reality is people use their life insurance policies while they're doing that to get access to funds to build on those ideas. Reality is people invest. They're getting real estate. They're convincing people to sell their grandma's homes for $5, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 when it's worth $100,000. They're reselling. They're taking the profit out the middle. And they're washing, rinsing, and repeating that system. I watch houses in DC go from being literally DCHA properties. You could get them in lotteries to being worth millions. I watched them use eminent domain to get rid of some of the few black people that owned anything in the city. Watch people normalize just catching more buses to get to work. Like, bruh, there are so many things that we do and we've been conditioned to do, and we get encouraged and reinforced to maintain it that leads to our own demise. And the sad part is the people who know better are doing better, but they don't feel like they have the time to put you on. And the people that don't know what they don't know are the people that's being looked up to. I really thought about it, bro. Like living in DC, I was raised in so many religious institutions. You were quick to be encouraged to pray about something. Your bills past due. You caught up with criminal activity. You can't afford food this week. You need a safe place to live. They telling you pray about it. They're not putting you on the resources. They're not telling you tangible steps you can take today to start to change that reality for yourself. They're putting you into this state where you use religion like it is magic. Right? Religion is not magic. Faith is a very powerful thing to possess, especially if you are from a place of knowledge and you can logically implement and strategize. Because that faith is what drives you to proceed with something with no personal point of reference, with no prior knowledge, with no proof of concept. That faith has to be what allows for you to be unshakable and committing to the journey, to getting out of your comfort zone, to learning about credit, to learning about finances, to implementing strategies to save, even if you don't like got a pot to piss in today. Faith is, I make $500, my bills is $800, and I'm committing to put $100 into investing right now. You can't afford to fucking survive with what you got anyway. I just got $600. I know I'm 3 months past due in bills. I know that the moratorium is going to get lifted eventually and I'm going to have to figure out what the hell is going on with my housing. Faith is, I'm going to fix my credit right now because everybody keeps saying that this is happening with the credit bureaus. You can't prove it. There is nothing fucking tangible until the progress happens. But guess what? It changes all of the other stuff. The things that shake up your peace of mind. The things that make you stay up at night. I stay up. Probably more hours now than I ever did when I was suffering. Right? I was stifled. Like my problems now, the shit that I worry about today, my biggest problem right now is the fact that we are trying to convert over the site we use for our shirts. And it's irking me because they're moving pieces to it that are gonna require outside expertise. But I have a timeline in my head that I want to implement. So I'm frustrated because I want to get it done. Right? And a part of me is the wheels are turning because I want to resolve the problem. Right? That's nothing like the problem of figuring out what fucking foods I can eat because I'm sleeping out my car. And I don't have a stove. I don't have a microwave. I don't have electric, nothing at my disposal to prepare food. I don't have a refrigerator to maintain food. Right? It's completely different. It's completely different. The type of lack of peace, right? The type of fear that resonates and just almost lingers over you like an umbrella when you're sleeping in like rundown hotel parking lots. You don't know what people are thinking or what people may notice in your car at 2 or 3 a.m. And you trying also not to be caught by the institutions. Like, it's different. The struggle is different. The pain points are different. The frustration is different, right? Like this, I know that what I'm going through today has an expiration date. When you go through that type of suffrage, when you go through poverty, when you go through lack to that extent, you have no fucking clue when it's gonna end. And it is so fucked up that we have normalized that. We've normalized it in the Black community. We've normalized it amongst those who now are progressing from that type of poverty. We've normalized using that as our like badge of honor for people to praise us and glorify us more. We've normalized that as the standard of expectations for people to uphold. Why would I want you to bootstrap? Like, how fucking hateful do I have to be to want you to suffer through and figure it out because that's what I had to do? Yet that's how we move, right? That's what we uphold as the expectations. Or put you in a state where you got to sacrifice it all to be willing to even take the chance to try. The type of information we share through our business, I'm seeing people charge $500, $1,000, $5,000 just to put people onto like 10% of it. And I'm just like, so what the fuck happens after they know that one piece, but they can't afford to do nothing else in life because you bled them dry? Ignorance is not bliss, but accountability is also very, very necessary for us to start upholding as well. I know what it's like to have nothing. And there were intergenerational cycles, a number of those things being upheld in my family, in my household, in my community. So you have to get to the point where you say, nah, this gotta end. This can't be normalized. I don't want to be forced into environments where this is the standard. And so from that, then you have to say, what am I willing to do about it? I've been blessed, right? I came to North Carolina blindly, completely oblivious to anything. Had no support, suffered through all that stuff just to end up crossing paths with people that upheld things that I never even had as goals. They normalized traditions and practices and habits that I didn't even attach to Black bodies prior. And then it was like the wheels were churning. It was like missing puzzle pieces just started to fall into place, left and right. Right? I started a business, no fucking clue how to fund it. But that's what they tell you to do, right? You gotta hustle. I told somebody I was dismantling one business to start a second business. They said, oh man, you know how much business credit I could get you with the initial one? Business credit, what's that? I don't know what I don't know. Right? That's one puzzle piece. I'm grinding hard, right? Because they tell you, you work. You just put in the work. Eventually it'll pay off. I'm putting in work. I'm seeing no fruits of my labor. And then something happens. Understanding the value of time. Understanding the different moving pieces that makes up your business. Revenue generating activities. Learn how to consolidate. So then I learned these little things. I'm now tapping into leverage connected to credit. What's credit? Like, I know people say you need to pay it on time and keep the $30, 30% under the credit limit. This different though. I'm thinking I need a degree. No fucking goals on what the profession is going to be that I use the degree for. I was told you go to college, you finish college, you get a degree. But then everybody I meet, they got certifications. Certified in coding. through 6 month, 12 month, 18-month programs, 3 month trainings. They license realtors, license insurance agents. Months, less than 6 months of training to be qualified to now start making 6, 7 figures. Specialists, they CDL drivers, licenses, trainings, things that are allowing them to now be in control of the situation. They're self-employed in marketing. There's so much out here that is flying under the radar right underneath our nose. And it becomes very, very imperative for you to shut up and just listen. My life changed the moment I shut up and just listened. I was willing to receive information no matter what package it came in. That changed everything. Right? There was something I started a couple of years ago. I was barely away from being homeless myself. And it was a situation where I started this thing because it was just weighing on me. The homelessness was weighing on me. I said, I'm gonna start something full Friday. Started full Friday. And I committed from the money I did have to treat somebody suffering from homelessness to a meal every Friday. A real dining meal. I'm gonna sit with you, I'm gonna eat with you. We can talk. One of the first times I did it was pouring raining outside. I met with this guy. He was sitting, panhandling, right? I sit with him. We're sitting in this restaurant. He said, like, don't play with me. I was like, all right, do you want to eat? And then he gets up. We sit in the restaurant talking to this guy, and he's like, I'm saving up to create a math program. He says, I panhandle, but I try my hardest to eat off of the bare minimum from it. And I'm saving for this program because he had gone through incarceration. After incarceration, he went back home. His family was pulling him into all the things he had given up and he said he would never go back to after being incarcerated. So he left. He left home to avoid the criminal lifestyle that got him caught up in the first place. So it was a situation where he's out here homeless, living in homeless shelters because he's trying to protect himself from becoming his worst version of himself. And so he tells me he's been panhandling to prepare for this program. And so I say, what? He's like, yeah, so far I have $5,000 raised. I probably got like $300 to my name at the time that I'm sitting down having this meal with this guy. But he tells me I have $5,000 to my name. He said a lot of the other guys that stay in those homeless shelters with me, he said they end up just panhandling and use the money for drugs. This man's faith is so unshakable that he is sacrificing everything to get to the next level. Doesn't look like what he's been through. You have no idea from the outside, right? I treat him to this meal and he's like, I have to do something. I can't let you just pay for this. So he leaves the tip. Like, and that's just one of those stories I experienced. Just going through, it was humbling. You got to understand the sacrifice, but you also got to be willing to incorporate the knowledge. Like, I learned so much from that guy. That conversation lasted like 2 hours. And that was 6-7 years ago. And I learned so much from that guy. It's insane. There are things that I do today, I implement today, I live out today because of an engagement I had with this guy 6 years ago. There are strategies that I'm unshakable in implementing and committing to because of a conversation I had with somebody 6 years ago. Making the short-term sacrifice for the long-term reward. We're in a different time where it's like, for everybody that is suffering because it's just unavoidable. There are people suffering because they just need somebody to be a funnel for their life. And what I mean by that is realizing that everything that you receive is not for you. Sometimes you got to be willing to take information just to share it. We are so selfish with the things that avail us to progress, but we are so quick to bond and unify around our struggles. That makes no sense. Makes no sense. And that's why we're so big on credit. That's why we're so big on investing. That's why we're so big on exposing you to life insurance. That's why we're so big on talking about financial literacy and saving and alternative income methods. Like, I'm not trying to have to struggle with you to relate. That ain't a relatability I want to go through again in life. You shouldn't either. So it's a situation where you got to be willing to learn what you don't know, or to share what you do know that somebody else doesn't, to help. And that's where I am. These lives, these are one of the few contributions we make weekly to our own community, to our own environments, to those who it's not on their radar. We have to normalize just spreading knowledge and information, despite what it looks like, despite how it benefits us. Or connect people to somebody that is willing to. Take the hard work away from yourself. Anyway, this live has lasted longer than I expected. I love you guys to life. We will probably not be doing too much more until the free masterclass happens, which is this first one. The launch one is happening January 23rd at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can attend it live, or you can sign up to have the recording sent out to you once it is done live. We love you guys to life and continue to go up from here.